Welcome to the Today Show Toronto. I'm your host, Jay Stoyan. We're very excited today as we have author Frank Zaccari. Now, Frank is very dear to our heart as he has a couple great novels out, one focusing on veterans and one focusing on persons with disabilities. Wow, what a fit. So we're very excited to have on writer Frank Zaccari. Stay tuned. You're watching the Today Show Toronto. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the show. I'm your host, Jay Stoyan, and on the show today, we have writer, Frank Zaccari, such a kind person, supporter of the Disability Channel. I'd like to welcome Frank to the show right now, if possible. We can pull him up on screen. There he is. Hey, Frank.
Good morning. Good morning.
How's we can't hear it. Oh, there you go. There you go. Thank you. We just had a little bit of a technical issue there. Thanks for being on the show today, Frank. We really appreciate it.
My pleasure. Glad to be here.
And thank you for the novels. We really appreciate you supporting our fundraiser. The kindness and generosity was very appreciated.
I appreciate that. And my brother was paralyzed 38 years ago now. So the disability world is very dear to my heart.
Yeah, let's talk about that. So tell our viewers exactly the name of the book that you offered for our fundraiser focusing on persons with disabilities. And then we'll jump over to the veteran book too. Wow.
Sure,
you're a good guy. You're a good guy, Frank. Thank you.
The book is called 5 Years to Live. And we made it into a story rather than autobiographical, right? So it gave us some literary freedom or creativity. My brother, like 23 years old, was driving to a job site, and he had just gotten on. It was on a Sunday, and he just got engaged on a Friday, and he had this terrible accident, which left him paralyzed. And they had to rush him to Thomas Jefferson Hospital in Philadelphia, and he is there between the Thomas Jefferson, the major surgery, and then the rehabilitation at McGee Hospital in Philadelphia. He was there almost a year.
Wow.
Now, after the initial accident and obviously shock, I was living in California. Most of my family was still in New York in the Buffalo area. We all fly into Philadelphia. They have the surgery, and the doctors, you know how doctors are, they kind of wishy-washy about what it is. And so I'm more of the bull in the china shop guy. So I said, and I was a military medic during the Vietnam War.
Oh, okay. Oh, wow. That's another layer that we have to talk about.
So I said to the doctor, I understand that people with this level of injury die within 5 years, yes or no? And the doctor started, and I said, look, yes or no. I'm not holding your feet to the fire. Just yes or no. What's going on here?
Yeah.
And she said, yes, that's true. That the average life expectancy is roughly 5 years. And they said, these are the things that are going to happen to him. He's going to have continuing infections. He's going to have more surgeries and on and on and on. So I sat down with my brother, and he was enraged by this because he expected he was going to walk out of the hospital.
Wow.
He said, no chance I'm dying within 5 years. I'm going to live for 50 years. And he had an expletive to the doctor, and he said, watch and see. And so he went on, and now we're going into the 39th year since the accident. He has moved from the Buffalo area because of all the snow to Phoenix, Arizona, the Scottsdale area, where he has run 2 businesses. He has been on the planning commission for the Northeast Phoenix area, and he's become like a Pied Piper for young students, particularly as they're going to high school in that area. He's in better health, other than he's still paralyzed, than he was in the beginning because it was all drugs and tried these set of drugs, and then that would affect his kidneys, then tried this set of drugs that would affect his liver, and it went on for many, many years. He was constantly sick, and everything the doctor said was going to happen in that 5-year window was happening. And then he said, one of the doctors said to him, look, I can't help you anymore. We're going to see if we can't get you to an integrative medicine doctor, and I'll figure out a way for insurance to pay for this. Right. So he meets with an integrative doctor who says, all right, we're not going to stop all the drugs, but we're going to change, and we're going to move to a more holistic approach. Diet, different way of going about things. And he is healthier now than he has been at any point in time. And it's going on for 39 years now, and hitting 50 years looks very possible.
Wow. So he has the will to live and he's living. I love that. And just to add to that, because what you said about holistic, right? Go on a holistic path. There's so many veterans that fall into that category that as soon as they get out and they have trauma, or a person with disability, I mean, the same
Yeah,
thing, right? You get, and the doctors just feed you the pills, and pills, instead of being open minded, being innovative, and seeing how can we get this person better without so many prescription drugs,
absolutely. At the
right?
20-year mark, because this was a work-related injury, so the insurance is paying for all this, right? So at the 20-year mark, insurance company sends people from Craig Rehabilitation Hospital in Denver to meet with my brother. My sister runs rehabilitation hospitals, so if you're going to have an accident like this happen, which is horrible, having somebody who understands what's going on is very helpful. So they said, we want you to come to Denver, Steve. My brother's name's Steve, obviously. And he said, and we're going to do a complete workup on you. We're going to do why you're still alive, number one, and what differences do we see in you that in other people. So he's there for a week. They do this extensive overview on him, and they come out with a report that had to do with medical side, family side, support side, interactive medicine side, and then socialization side, right? Beautiful document. And it gets done, and they're going over it with him. And my sister, who happened to be there, who also is a PhD, and she said,
And
"Look
what
at this."
hospital? Where's your sister working out of?
Now she's independent.
Okay.
She works in Scottsdale, Arizona. She lives she just moved about a block and a half away, but for years she lived next door to my brother in the Phoenix
Okay.
Scottsdale area,
Okay.
right
Nice.
door,
Nice.
right.
Nice.
And so my sister had said, they turned and looked at the insurance company and said, what are you going to do about this? Because it was a complete family support, everything, not just medicine.
Wow.
And the insurance company said, well, we want to do the best as possible to help you. And she said, oh, cut the crap. All right. Are you going to do this or not? And they said, well, we're limited by the rule. And they said, you're not. That's the answer. Okay. Stop the song and dance.
Yeah.
So he went back home to the Phoenix Scottsdale area, continues to be very, very active. I saw him at Thanksgiving. He's doing very, very well. And so we wrote this book. It was a collaboration between.
How old would he be now, Frank?
I'm 70, so he's 62.
Okay. Okay.
He's 62. We wrote this book together because I was there for parts of it, but I wasn't there late at night at 3:00 in the morning when you're going through all your the emotions. So he had a lot of input on it. My other brother, Tony, because if you're Italian, you have to have a Tony in your family, right? My other brother, Tony, also was a contributing author to that. So we wrote this book about, what his life was like prior to the fact that he had just gotten engaged on a Friday. The accident occurred. So we wanted to make it into a story rather than just all medical.
That's wonderful. Now, how involved was your sister medically? Was she more advice? Was she hands-on?
Oh, incredibly hands-on. Because at the time of the accident, she was living in New Jersey. So from New Jersey to Philadelphia is nothing, right? So she got to the hospital. My sister is very well known in the head trauma rehabilitation world.
Oh, I got some good follow-ups for you. Okay, go ahead.
We should do that. So my sister walks into the hospital the next day, bringing my parents in, and they know who she is.
Okay.
In that world, they know who Frank Zaccari is, right? And they thought maybe she was there for an interview, or maybe she was going to have a job there.
Yeah.
So she meets with the team, and she starts telling them, we're going to do this and this and this and this and this. And they said, okay. And she meets with the doctor and says, these are the things that I want done. And this is, and you can't tell the doctor how they're going to do the surgery, but here's how the rehabilitation is going to go. And so she was very, very engaged. My parents, they're devastated. They could barely talk or anything, but she had been there. I had been a medic in the military, so I was aware of some of the things that we were going to go through as a family. And she was very, very engaged. And as they would sit down with the rehabilitation team, and they'd say, okay, here's how we're going to work this. And at one point, my brother would say, I'm not going to these group meetings anymore. And my mother was all concerned, obviously. And they asked, why, Steve? My brother asked him why. And he goes, because all they do is talk about how bad their life is and how terrible this is. And he goes, well, it is kind of terrible, Steve. And he goes, yeah, but it is what it is. So I'm not going to worry about it. I have to deal with the cards I've been dealt, and I'm going to go forward the way it is. And I'm not going to sit there and wallow in self-pity. So even while he was in the hospital, he was taking a very aggressive stance as to, I'm going to get better. I'm going to walk out of here. Now, he didn't walk out, but he has battled it and has accepted it. And that's the magic thing. Now, Jay, we were at his home. He was having a little celebration, and he and my sister started a company called Abilities Unlimited in the Phoenix area. And so one of the things that, and I was there, so I'm pouring wine for people and listening to the conversation. And so there are 3 or 4 people that are in wheelchairs, and they were asked, if you could go back prior to the accident, would you do it? And every one of them said no. I would rather be where I am because I'm a better person and my life is better the way I am today, and I'm impacting more lives. So I was stunned that, and they all said the same thing. It was pretty amazing. So that was what the book was about. And then we collaborated together, and this was prior to me understanding how to market a book. So it did well, but we didn't sell a lot of copies of it. And that was kind of disappointing. But it was a real experience to go through that process. Now, while we were there with him in the hospital, there was a young woman who had been paralyzed because of a lightning strike. How many people get hit by lightning, right? And so she was at the beach, and she was laying on a blanket with her boyfriend. And what we learned is when lightning comes from the ground up, and then it travels along, and that's how the impact is. And so she was laying on a blanket, the lightning thing hit, it comes across. The boyfriend is closest. He died on the spot. She becomes paralyzed, goes to the same hospital my brother was in. And this is someone who did not have a big support group, who did not have a family that was there to assist and to provide all the additional support beyond the medical side. And she struggled for quite a while. Now, she did, in fact, walk out of the hospital at some point down the road. But then her life, because she didn't have that support system, became intolerable. It just spiraled completely out of control. And one of the things I say to families and to people who know someone with a disability is, you have to be there. You have to be there, and you have to support, because the doctors can do so much, but you cannot and do not underestimate the power of the human spirit. And the human spirit is such that I'm going to defeat this, but you can't do it alone. So families and friends and neighbors and what have you, you have to be engaged. You have to be helpful. You have to say, we're there for you. We're going to be involved in whatever it is that you need to do and want to do. Now, in my brother's case, he went back and got a master's degree, and he started working at one of the universities in the Buffalo area, and he was sort of like the ombudsman for handicap access. And so it was involved in all of the security that was necessary.
Wow, Frank, that is such a heartfelt story, and you got the whole family involved. Thank you for sharing that. It must have really tugged on your heart and your family, and I feel so sorry for your mom and dad, but good to hear that your brother's doing good. What I'd like to do, actually, before we take a commercial break, is I would love to have your sister and Steve on with our host in LA. We have a Today Show in LA, and I think that would be great because she is a true accessibility ability lady who's doing wonderful things across America. And I think sharing your story or your brother's story with your sister at the same time, I think that would be great to share. And I think more people would love to hear how he's doing.
I think they would love that. And when I had a radio show, I had them both on, and we told the story there. And it's for them, it's very important because it is a different way to go about dealing with a disability. And they're both very, very active in that world. So I'm sure they would love it.
It sure is. And I'd really love to connect with your sister because I have a lot of family members that are in the health system. One includes my cousin who runs the Cleveland Clinic down in Florida. And they've been very supportive of our channel, along with the Cleveland Clinic up here, the Mayo Clinic, Hospital for Sick Children's. So I'd love to work with your sister and see how we can help more people together.
Perfect. I will connect you.
So what we're going to do, we're going to take a quick break. You're watching the Today Show Toronto. We're on with author Frank Zaccari. Very, very generous. We're going to talk a little bit about our fundraiser, but what we're going to do is we're going to transition into the veteran world as Frank is part of that world. So stay tuned. You're watching the Today Show Toronto. We'll be right back.
Friends, it's an absolute pleasure to send greetings as you gather for this fantastic fundraiser in support of the Disability Channel and Legion 60. Thanks to everyone involved for the important work you do for our veterans and people with disabilities. You're supporting them as they gain valuable work experience and helping build a stronger Ontario for everyone. You're all absolute champions. Your generosity is greatly appreciated, and I hope you have a fantastic event.
Welcome back to Today's Show Toronto. On the show today, we have author, writer Frank Zaccari. Now, we talked about the disability community with his brother, his family. I'd like to transition now into the veteran world. And exactly, Frank was a medic in Vietnam. So, Frank, without sharing too many stories, because I know a lot of people can't, a lot of veterans, they have a hard time talking about their service. But if you could you just share a little bit, just an overview about Vietnam? Like, oh my goodness, like, and being a medic, like that's, thank you. Thank you.
Right, no problem. I was a medic near the end of the war, so I never actually was in where the fighting was, which was fortunate. The Army and the Navy medics were the ones that were where the bullets were flying.
Okay.
We dealt with more wounded after the fact.
Okay.
So the interesting thing about the Vietnam War is the people would come back, and the average age of a soldier in the United States was 19 years old. 19.
19.
They had just finished their prom.
I know that song. No, 19. No, 19. You know that
That's right.
song? No, 19.
Exactly.
19. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
they just graduated from high school. They just finished their prom, and now they're in a war. And they're just simply 19-year-olds are not prepared for that. World War II average age was 26. Big difference between a 19-year-old and a 26-year-old. So when they came back, and they still hadn't recognized PTSD or traumatic brain injury, it just was battle fatigue or whatever, you're weak or whatever the deal was. So they would come back, and they'd be at the hospital, and we had a number of psychiatrists there, and they would always say, if they get them to talk, and if they talk, move over and press this button on the wall, and the psychiatrist would sit in the back and listen to hear what was going on, and they were devastated. It was beyond. They couldn't even rationalize what was occurring, because you're 19 years old, you're being shot at, you're shooting people are dying around you, napalm is going on. It's just it's horrible. It's completely indescribable. And one of the things that one of the psychiatrists said, that the Vietnam War was so traumatic to the world, because it was the first time war and the horrors of war were brought into everybody's house on the 6 o'clock news. Yeah. That didn't happen in World War II or Korea or anything else, but now it was coming in. All right, and in the American people, we're having a lot of difficulty separating the soldier troop from the war, because they'd see all these atrocities, and they just connected the soldier, the troops, to all the crimes that were being done. And so when a number of the veterans came home, particularly after the Tet Offensive, they were spit on, and they were booed, and they were objectified, and it was horrible. It was a terrible thing, because these are young people. They didn't want to be there. Terrible. They did their duty. And we were drafted back then. There was a draft going on. So for sure they didn't want to be there. And it's something that the Vietnam veterans have said, we're never again going to let that happen. And so the Vietnam veterans have created a movement, so that the veterans, that's when they start to, well, thank you for your service. Okay, well, that's a wonderful thing, but veterans need far more than thank you for your service.
Yeah.
But it was a start. It was the start. And then when all the Middle Eastern stuff happened, you saw people coming up and saying, I support the troops, I don't support the war. And they were able to separate the two. And that was important. So that's I got out of the military and went back to.
No, that's wonderful perspective. Like, thank you for sharing that, Frank. And just to let you know, like, our platform is fully supportive of all veterans, either in America or Canada. So I would love to start connecting with you, with your fellow veteran, just for fellow support and to exchange ideas and and just love really. And there's a gentleman. Whereabouts are you located currently?
I live between. I'm either in San Diego or in Scottsdale, Arizona.
Okay, because we have through our connections, we have property in Illinois, and what we're doing now is we're creating a veteran hub for U.S. soldiers focused on preventing suicide, but also focused on the well-being of the veteran and their family. And the gentleman who runs it is a gentleman by the name of Brian. He's also a medic.
Mm.
He was also a medic. So I'm going to connect you afterwards in an email just so you guys can meet each other and exchange ideas and again help your fellow veterans. So let's move forward and tell our viewers the name of the book that you donated to our fundraiser, which was very kind, and thank you for
Well,
doing
the veterans book is something I wanted to do for a long time. I've written 9 books, and this was the 9th one. And it was we named it Business Secrets from the Battlefield to the Boardroom. And what I wanted to do was a collaboration with veterans, which was very difficult initially because veterans don't want to talk about it, and veterans,
Yeah.
my story's boring, and I can't
Yeah.
write, blah blah blah. So I created a series of questions, and I sent it to a number of veterans, and I said, just answer these questions, and we'll fine tune it from there. Now, I was introduced to a group called the Houston Regional Veterans Chamber of Commerce, and this is a
Wow.
tremendous organization in the Houston area, and they focus on helping veterans in the transition, but helping them get into business and how to be a businessman and a businesswoman and how to build a business. And then they go to the other side. They go to the corporate side and they say, this is why you need to hire veterans. So they pull the whole story together. So they were very generous. Dave Weaver is their founder, and they put up, I think, 14 or 15 of the 19 co-authors who wrote a chapter in the book. And it was just incredible. I said, what is it? Why did you go in the military? Tell us about your background. Why did you go in the military? What was your job? When you got out, what did you face?
And how many questions is there? You said there's how many questions there?
I sent them probably 10 or 11.
What I'd like to do, I'm just thinking as you're speaking, but it's totally up to you. But I would love to maybe share some of those questions on our Facebook page for fellow veterans, because our Facebook page is quite active with veteran organizations.
Mhm.
And I would also like to connect you with the former Undersecretary of the Pentagon Treasury Department, who's also on our team. When it comes to the business side of things, along with the RCTAA, which is America's, I believe, one of the biggest reserve components. So that's where we're trying to duplicate what we're doing here in Canada, which is provide employment programs in media for persons with disabilities and veterans, so they can either get off assistance, transition from the battlefield, learn a new skill in media, and get a job through the channel. So we're doing that here in Canada, and we're in the midst of duplicating that in the USA, because obviously there's 10 times or more of the need in the USA as compared to Canada. So any help, any connections you could help us with, we would really appreciate that. And then on the other side, we'd love to help you and your family, and maybe help you with those questions regarding your book. I'm just thinking, sorry,
No, that's fine.
as we're speaking. Yeah.
One of the things that
Yeah.
happened was I didn't get as many as I wanted for the book, but Larry Broughton, who is a special forces veteran and now runs a chain of hotels, he wrote the foreword, and a gentleman named Dennis Pitoko, who was an Air Force veteran, he wrote an introduction. And so we broke the stories in as they related to each other, right? And so 19 co-authors. The book went to #1, and it was just awarded just before Thanksgiving. The finalist award for one of the best nonfiction self-help books from the Author's Zone, a national or an international award system. The idea there was, okay, veterans, tell us what happened, because we want other veterans to know, look, it's not the end of the world. You can do this. And in every single case, they got out. Thank you for your service. Okay, that's wonderful. I need a job.
Yeah.
The job is well, you don't have any experience here, you don't have experience with that. And so you're into basically an entry-level job, and now you're angry because you're
Yeah.
23, 24, 25, however old you are now. You've spent 4 to 6 years serving your country. You had management responsibilities. You were in charge of millions of dollars of equipment and people's lives. And,
Yeah.
oh, you don't have any experience. So one of the things that we wanted to get across was, and get this out to the business community, is, look, if you're going to look at, let's take Houston as an example. The big brain school in Houston is Rice University, right? Major brain school. And I said, all right, talking to somebody in the oil gas industry, you got a graduate coming out of Rice, and you got a specialist, whatever, E4, 3 stripes, coming out of the military. All right, now let's talk about this. Who are you going to hire? And so you're going to hire the kid from Rice because he went to Rice. And I said, the kid from Rice is 22. The kid over here is 24. He's had to go to work every single day for 4 years. He's had to perform. He's going to be loyal to a fault. He's going to find ways around things. That's what the way it's going to be. That's who you need to hire.
This is great, Frank. You know what? I mean, we brought you on to as an author, but when you gave us that little nugget about being a veteran, like, wow, the connection's even stronger. So if people want to find out more information, Frank, about your books or how to get in touch with you, is there any sort of email or website or anything that you can share with our viewers?
Sure, a number of places. Website is frankzaccari.com. Very simple. I'm on LinkedIn. I'm on Facebook. I'll connect with people who want to get with me. The books are all available on Amazon, or you can get them off the website, whichever it is the person wants. If you buy them on the website, we sign them and send them to you. If you buy them from Amazon, nobody can sign it. But it's been quite an experience. One of the things that occurred, because we had such success now with 9 books and 5 bestsellers, is other authors have said, can you help us with a book? So we created a marketing promotion program, which we call Trust the Process. And there's a lot of myths about writing a book. You wrote a book. I wrote 5 books before I figured this out. You write a book because you want to get it done. That's authors. I just want to get it done. And I'm going to put it out there and everybody's going to buy it. Okay, well, that doesn't work. If you write it, they will come. Doesn't work. And the publishers don't market the book for you. They don't. So you got to market it yourself. So we put a whole program together that my partner, Melissa Van Olsen, and I do. And we create the campaign for the author. And we get it out there. Now we've had 11 consecutive books that went to #1, and 4 of the books have won awards. So if you're writing a book,
this is great.
talk to us.
Okay, so so again, give out your website or your information, and then what we're going to do, I'm going to wrap the show. I'm going to come back with some updates of the today's show, and then we'll be touching base down the road for sure, Frank. So one more time, if people want to get in touch
Wonderful.
with you.
Website is frankzaccari.com. Very simple. LinkedIn, I'm on LinkedIn, Frank Zaccari.
Yep.
I'm on Facebook is Frank Zaccari. My email is frankzaccari@gmail.com. I kept it simple because I forget passwords and things usually.
That's great. No, I really appreciate it. Okay, so what we're going to do, let's take a quick break. I'm going to come back with today's show updates on the Disability Channel, what's going on. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Karina Gould, the Member of Parliament for Burlington. I'm very sorry I'm not able to join you this evening due to unforeseen circumstances, but I hope you have a wonderful fundraiser. I really want to give my hats off to Jay and the Disability Channel for coming up with this idea and implementing it and doing such tremendous work to support folks with disabilities and veterans. At the federal government, we are pleased to support the Disability Channel and partner with them, particularly through their unique EI program. Your work tonight, your efforts fundraising are making a big difference in the lives of people here in this area and giving them an opportunity to participate in media and find their calling. So I hope you have a successful evening. Once again, I'm very sorry I'm not able to be there, but big congratulations to Jay and the whole team for your vision, for your leadership, and making this channel a reality. Congratulations and have a wonderful evening, everybody.
Hey there, Wendell Clark. You're watching the Disability Channel, showcasing their abilities. All the best.
Welcome back to the show. Welcome back to the Today Show, Toronto. We're right across Canada. We'd like to thank author and veteran Frank Zaccari for being on his show today. We're going to be connecting with his family. He's all across the USA. He's got great connections. So for all veterans out there, we're going to be posting some information on our Facebook page on how you get in touch with Frank, as I'm sure he has a huge network through his writing community and veteran community. So before we let you go, I just want to say thank for everybody for tuning in. If you want to subscribe to our channel, YouTube, we're on Bell, we're on Kojiko, we have a Sirius XM radio show. We're all over online. We're expanding across Toronto, Ontario, Canada. We're into the USA now, all about supporting veterans and persons with disabilities. We're creating a community, a new community, persons with disabilities and veterans. We have our heroes and we have our ability community. It's wonderful. We're bringing everybody together. We welcome more support. If people want to find out more information on the channel, you can go to www.thedisabilitychannel.ca. I'm Jay Stoyan. You're watching the Today Show Toronto. We'll see you next time.